At 18, in her girl's bedroom. She has just recorded, All the Boys and Girls, 700,000 copies sold. How are you, Françoise Hardy? Since my last and recent radiotherapy, I have been doing poorly because my right eye sees everything very blurry and is painful. My nostril on the same side is blocked all the time. The mouth and back of the throat are even drier. It's a nightmare. Are you well looked after? I'm wondering, how do you view hospitals in France? I don't know enough hospitals to make a judgment. The most important thing is the doctors who not only have to be as good as possible, but also have empathy, which is not always the case. Has the illness taught you anything about yourself? Not especially. Is the mind essential in the fight against illness, as we so often hear? Illness destroys the mind. With increasing age, after rays that hit the head, which was the case with my 55 radiotherapies, we lose our memory of too many things and the lack of balance reduces our ability to move as much as possible. The swastikas on the walls scandalize me. You will be 80 years old on January 17, 2024. What can we wish for you? To leave soon and quickly, without too many challenges, such as the impossibility of breathing. Are you protecting yourself or are you following the news of the Hamas-Israel war? This news and that of the war that Putin is waging against Ukraine affect me more than I can say. How do you judge the increase in anti-Semitic acts in France? I have the impression that in France and almost everywhere, there are more radical Islamists than we imagined, because barbarism is spreading and largely comes from there. The swastikas on the walls scandalize me, not to mention the all too frequent murders with knives. In the current political landscape, do you maintain your confidence in Emmanuel Macron? Emmanuel Macron is a good person, way above the rest, and he has integrity. Only Edouard Philippe comes close to him. But I would have liked it to reduce public debt and spending. It was probably impossible. Captivated by the memoirs of Jacques Dutronc. Do you think about the world in which your son, Thomas Dutronc, will live? This obsesses me and affects me to the highest degree. I try to reassure myself by telling myself that Thomas has enough mobility, flexibility, openness, that he is versatile and intelligent enough to adapt. Do you miss the house at Monticello, which you had built in Haute Course, where Jacques Dutronc and his partner, Sylvie Duval, live today? I miss the house and the garden, of course, but as it has become impossible for me to go there and even more so to live there, I avoid thinking about them. Have you read Jacques Dutronc's memoirs, Et moi, et moi, et moi, at Cherche Midi, and, if so, what did you think of it? I was stunned when I learned that he was publishing his memoirs and he initially told me that he had not written them himself. He had accustomed me to very brief, very kind little words, in which he didn't express much. When I started reading his book, I recognized the style of his interviews. He lied to me because he feared that I wouldn't like his texts. Despite my major vision difficulties, I managed to read, et moi, et moi, et moi, and I was as captivated as I was enthusiastic. Thomas works all the time, as was my case. Françoise Hardy. In his interview with Paris Match in November, Jacques Dutronc said that he didn't talk about you because he loved you. What does this inspire you? For several years, we have written to each other every day and he made some very moving statements to me. It's a shame that he wasn't a little more demonstrative during the 20 years, more trying for me than for him, that we lived together. Jacques Dutronc finds that your son, Thomas, has your character. No, Thomas works all the time, as was my case, and he is as loyal and honest as I am. But he is 1,000 times more flexible, mobile, open, fast, adaptable than me. Is friendship still present in your life? Yes, fortunately. Do you still communicate with Patrick Modiano and his wife, Dominique? Dominique sends me very kind little notes to which I respond and sign asking her to kiss her, Big Pat, whom I knew before meeting her. Do you continue reading? I reread Agatha Christie because I had forgotten everything. He was a genius in terms of psychology, precision, and the coherence of his novels, which are captivating thrillers. I also reread a very funny book whose content I had also forgotten, The Bloody Road of Gardiner Block, by Tom Sharp. But now, because of my deteriorating vision, I can no longer read, I can't even watch TV, which, when I came across a good film, was the best way to disconnect. I didn't think I was that beautiful. It seems that you like the soap opera, plus Belle La Vie. If yes, why? I really enjoyed this series that I discovered late in life, but I have no desire to watch the rest. The question does not arise, since with my vision problems I can no longer watch television. I liked it because there was constant suspense and the main characters were endearing, with a personality of their own. At times, the screenwriter's imagination went too far, but we let ourselves be taken in. So what are your pleasures today? We imagine the music. I have few left. I regularly go to YouTube to discover or rehear videos that I liked from Thomas, Jacques or myself and lots of others. To see or rewatch certain debates too. Don't you tell yourself that you didn't take enough advantage of your beauty and your talent in your youth. The idea of enjoying anything never entered my mind and I didn't think I was that beautiful. In Paul Newman's memoirs, published in Le Table Ronde, we discover a man who never loved himself, notably because of his mother. Would you say that about yourself? My mother loved me very much but was, unfortunately, definitely angry with me because she hated Jacques. She would have wanted me all to herself. Furthermore, I never asked myself whether I loved myself or not and would be incapable of answering. Why didn't your mother like Jacques Dutronc? Because she thought he was the worst father and worst husband ever. In your repertoire, do you give a special place to Tant de Belles Choses, one of your most beautiful songs? When I wrote my comments on my texts in the collection dedicated to them, Songs About You and Us, I became aware of the large number of good texts that I had written, either on my own melodies or on those of other composers, which I had retained because they touched me and still do. Leave to the other dimension as soon as possible. You have a reputation for not cutting corners, for saying things frankly, too frankly. Do you agree? In general, I say what I think, but there are of course many situations where it is better to keep what you think to yourself and others, fortunately rarer, where the obligation to lie is imposed. Among the thousands of photos of you that exist, do you have one that you particularly like? There are a lot of them and it's almost impossible to make a choice. I have a weakness for a photo by Bernard Lelou where I look at Jacques' hand. I can't read the lines on the hand, but I'm interested in seeing them. Have you ever felt like you belong to your audience? I never had that feeling. The public is so abstract, so diverse. You only need to have a few opinions on a song to see that they are not always perceived as they should be, even though they are very clear. Through your songs, you have brought happiness to others. Is this a comfort? It's not a comfort because I am aware of what this or that song is worth, and comfort comes when you finish a text knowing that it is successful, but it is of course very pleasing when a song that we love, and we are proud of, we are successful. A little less when people like a song that we don't think is great. What links do you have with the singers of the new generation? There is hardly anyone other than Juliette Armanet with whom I correspond from time to time. She composed some very beautiful melodies, and I don't know any great melodists in the new generation. Do you think about posterity, the traces you will leave? I am thinking above all of the very big problems that posterity will have to experience. Do you have any plans? Leave for the other dimension as soon, as quickly and as painlessly as possible.